Hello everybody, Alex here. Welcome to my Finance and Accounting Education channel. Today we are having a very interesting topic, which is, actually there are two topics combined within one video. We are talking about the macroeconomic phenomena, namely the inflation I have previously spoken about. I'm linking some of the videos starting with this moment about inflation, but we are going to put it in the microeconomic context of a e-commerce company, probably the largest and the most well-known one. I'm not sure about largest because I have no idea if Amazon is larger than Alibaba. At some point I will have to look. Anyway, when you are saying the largest company in e-commerce, you might think about market capitalization, you might think about revenues and so on and so forth. So you might think about the number of countries it's present in and so on. And yeah, I don't know if Amazon is larger than Alibaba right now, but it's an interesting question which I will have to look into later. But before we jump right in, I'm going to ask you to subscribe to my channel, to hit the bell notification button, and you will never miss an update on my site. I do them quite regularly these days. You should expect new and hopefully interesting videos from me on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays. That being out of the way, just a short introduction about inflation. We are facing inflation. It was quite clear since last year, July, August, that the inflation has started to grow. Just a short definition of inflation. I know that it's supposed to be something, because inflated means it started from the idea of having a large monetary mass. The idea is that nobody really cares about how much money are out there. What is affecting everybody are the increases in prices. So that's why we say that inflation is the general increase of prices. We started having this after the pandemic, and somehow the central banks, maybe the Fed in the United States less, but the European Central Bank even more, are delaying stepping in, so starting to increase the interest rates. And now I don't know if their decision is good or wrong, because it's a very complex decision, I must admit that, and you have to weigh in the pros and cons, and it might be that their delaying will be good, so deciding not to step in very brutal or not yet, and so on and so forth, might be good, but it might also be very bad. Why we have to consider the fact that this inflation is not generated by an increase in demand. It's actually generated by reduction or not having enough supply, which means that all in all the demand is not largely increased compared with the pre-pandemic years, related to 2019, for example, but we are still facing a lot of troubles with the supply. We are still facing a lot of troubles with the supply chains, in China there are some COVID outbreaks. They are shutting down again regions, not producing, and so on and so forth. And it might be that just increasing the interest rates won't help. It's as simple as that, because the demand is not excessive, let's say, and there is not to be expected a reduction in demand, even if the interest rates are growing. More, it can be very negative if the interest rate hikes are, let's say, quite bright, because first of all, there might be companies that really need credit. They need loans to improve their production capacity, which will solve the production side, so the offer side deficit right now. Then there is a trouble with the states that accumulated a lot of debt during the pandemic, and guess who's going to pay that debt? So we might also have tax increases if the interest rates are growing, and so on and so forth. So I must admit that this is a very complex decision. What I can tell you for sure are the past mistakes and what they shouldn't have done in the past. First of all is the 2019, the interest rate should not have been zero in 2019. They should have been increased gradually in so many years of economic growth around the world, and when everything was okay, the interest rate should not have been zero at the start of the pandemic. The idea is that somehow the central banks got stuck into this idea that they need an inflation of around 2% in order for the economy to function. And I must admit that this is the same idea that Cathie Wood of ARK Invest has. They seem not to understand that deflation or the reduction in prices is not always negative, and they confuse broadly two types of deflation. Okay, there is the bad deflation, which nobody really wants, and also the central banks don't want, and they fear, the one which leads to companies shutting down, to unemployment, to more reduction in demand, reducing of prices, and so on and so forth. So we get into this deflationary cycle, which is very, very bad. But there is another type of deflation, which actually Cathie Wood is saying about it, but she says that she fears it. I don't understand why she fears it. Due to technical progress, which means that the companies are able to produce more and more with cheaper costs, and they are making available to the wider public, so for groups of people that previously maybe they didn't afford such products, and at the lower prices, and so on and so forth. And let me just tell you that that's not a bad type of deflation. And somehow the central banks, because they got stuck onto this idea that they need to have a moderate level of inflation all the time, they were seeing that the economy doesn't really react, and they got stuck with this very low interest rate, which was bad all along. And second, if it is to have an interest rate increase, it's better to do it. So we said that we knew about the inflation since July, August last year, that it was already starting to show up. It's better to have very small increment. It can be even 0.10% per month. It doesn't need to be more. It's better for the markets, also for the stock exchanges, for the financial markets at large, to digest this. If you do small incremental and regular increases, then wait for 1 year to see that the situation has aggravated, and it might be that the inflation will get to 20% or something like that, which will be very, very bad. Personally, let's just say that I'm more affected by inflation than I'm affected by the interest rate, so I don't really care about the interest rates because I have no debt. I'm more interested about inflation that's affecting me directly. But let's just say that we don't really know how the things will develop. Maybe it will calm down on its own at some point in the next few months, or they will have to step in at some point. But I think that the sustainable thing is to help the companies which are producing to produce more. Yeah, we need to get back and to bring the supply chains back in shape, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so that's those are the considerations about inflation. So the article is about Amazon. I told you that it's about e-commerce giant. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy says costs from pandemic, inflation and war are too high for company to absorb. Amazon on Wednesday added a 5% fuel and inflation surcharge for US third-party sellers who use its storage and shipping services. So the idea is that they can no longer contain it, and they also need to pass it further. CEO Andy Jassy told CNBC on Thursday that it was a necessary step as the company faces rising costs tied to inflation, the pandemic, and the war in Ukraine. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy said the company needed to add a fuel and inflation surcharge to deal with rising costs tied to inflation, the coronavirus pandemic, and the war in the Ukraine. At a certain point, you can't keep absorbing all those costs and run a business that's economic. That's real. At some point, the increase in goods that you are purchasing as a company or services, it's just eroding your profitability. And as we know, the e-commerce division of Amazon is not really profitable, Amazon is generating profit from cloud business actually, and more recently from the, let's say, from the advertising business. So Jesse told CNBC Andrew Ross Sorkin in a Squawk Box interview on Thursday. Just a short mention, Andrew Ross Sorkin is also one of the producer or writers of the Billion series, quite a good one, which I recommend you. Amazon has tried to assume all those costs wherever possible, Jesse said, but it became increasingly untenable as the pandemic continued and after Russia invaded Ukraine earlier this year. On Wednesday, Amazon imposed a 5% fee to US third-party sellers who use its shipping and storage services. This surcharge will go into effect in about 2 weeks for sellers who use Amazon's Fulfillment by Amazon program. Merchants pay to have their inventory stored in Amazon's warehouses and to make use of the company's supply chain and shipping operations. We are very aware, so you see they are also in this supply chain very much as an e-commerce company which has a global presence. And of course they have these troubles as well. We are very aware that sellers have costs as well, Jesse said. We'll keep looking at how costs evolve and revisit. Some sellers expressed frustration over the fee, noting that they have already absorbed another FBA cost increase that went into effect in January. Amazon's expenses have jumped since the start of the pandemic as the company has tried to hire and retain enough employees to keep up with demand in its warehouses. Facing staffing shortages at some facilities, the company often had to send packages over longer and costlier distances to locations with enough people available to receive them. JC, who succeeded Amazon founder Jeff Bezos in July, also pointed to the war in Ukraine, which has pushed up the prices of oil and metals, and China's latest COVID-19 outbreak, which has disrupted tech supply chains. I think some of the issues happening right now in China as well, as there are variants and they're being very conservative and locking down production, created some issues in getting products as fast as we need it. Jesse said it's still more expensive and more time consuming to get products into the country. So there's still supply chain challenges. So it remains to see when the Amazon will present the quarterly results, how is this play affecting the quarterly results, if this surcharge is helping them cover the costs or not really, and so on and so forth. So this would be about let's say Amazon and inflation, because it's in an e-commerce company. It's more affected, let's say, because it's also has to face multiple troubles with supply chains which are not really up after the pandemic and so on and so forth. I wanted to tell you something about inflation, and I think I did that introduction, which was quite clear. So that would be it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please do not hesitate to hit the like button. Comment if you have something to add in the comments section. Share it with somebody that might be interested. It's a very nice video about macroeconomic phenomena and how it's affecting Amazon is also talking about the pandemic and the war in Ukraine, but let's just say that inflation is one of the issues that they are facing. So how is a macroeconomic phenomena affecting at the microeconomic level? Although Amazon is so large, you can hardly call it microeconomics, let's say so. And also do not forget to subscribe to my channel. It doesn't cost you anything, so it's free of charge. And if you hit the bell notification button, you will also get regular updates from me. I do them regularly, meaning on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays you should expect new and hopefully interesting videos from me. Below this video you have links. You can create an eToro account and trade there without a commission or a fee. If you trade with your own money, you will own the shares. If you trade leveraged, you will trade actually CFDs. Just as an information, losses are always possible, so be aware that when you are investing or trading, let's say, you can always also have losses, so upside is not guaranteed. Then but no matter how often you are doing that, not paying a commission fee is always a saving for anybody, which is, I think, quite welcome. Also below that one you have an Amazon wish list with hardware and software items which can help me improve the quality of my videos. That's being beneficial for you because you'll get better videos on my side. But let's just be honest and say that the Amazon wish list is the most inconvenient from financial perspective for you. The easiest way, it doesn't really cost you anything, is to subscribe to my channel, to hit the notification button, and of course to continue to watch my videos. My name is Alex Petrescu. This is my finance and accounting education channel here on YouTube. I thank you for your time and patience today, and I look forward to presenting to you with the next opportunity. Goodbye!